Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning. Just here with a few more tidbits.
Yes, and we wanted to thank everybody so much, for watching and joining us on the podcast last night and on the chat. It was a lot of fun, and we appreciate all your love and support. And Joel, sweetie, you did an awesome job. I know you've had a really bad week, and for you to, do the podcast even after the week you've had was awesome.
Well, what he really did is he put aside his personal life for the betterment of the community.
And I hope everybody, can recognize that and appreciate it.
So we love you, Joel, Parker. Thank you so much.
Eric, Son of Thunder.
Eric, Son of
he
Thunder.
felt really bad that he couldn't be on there the entire time because he had company show up. So.
You guys are truly an inspiration to the mental health of this community.
Yeah.
And I just we're going to reiterate a few things just in case you didn't see that and or in case you missed going to the channel and watching the video as it was being produced live. And we got a couple of things.
Yeah, a couple of things.
But I want to go back to a quick comment here regarding last night's episode. When Kim and I sat down and did our promo video, there was a comment underneath there from John James. And this is what he wrote. He says, "Hey idiots, why are you two so hateful?" Did we appear to be hateful last night? No. So you got burned by a religious organization. Let it go, man. Really? We read the comments underneath. That's like saying, hey, 9/11 happened. September 11th happened. 3,000 people lost their lives. Let it go.
Move on.
You're the idiot. Because you can't recognize that something as traumatic as the World Trade Center coming down, why we as humans can't and or will not let it go. Watchtower is doing the same very thing. It's destroying lives. It's destroying mentally people's ability to determine what's right or wrong. Let it go. Yeah, you guys are so blinded by your hatred that you can't see how ridiculous and idiotic you look and sound. But by the same token, John James, you can't see how idiotic and ridiculous you sound when you say, hey, so you got burnt by a religion. Let it go.
So people are committed suicide and dying from refusing blood transfusion.
So what if kids are getting raped by elders and or child abuse? Just let it go.
Sorry, that so much has happened to you. You're being shunned. Oh, just forget it. Move on.
You're the idiotic one because you're the one that's sitting there saying, okay, it's okay that Watchtower's raping kids. It's okay that their bullshit religious philosophy is making people commit suicide. It's okay that Watchtower's shunning people to the point to where they want to commit suicide. Do you see how ridiculous you are now sounding? How do you like it, John James, when the tables are being turned and now you're being exposed for the ridiculous one because your comments show absolutely zero fellow feeling and or sympathy for what this religion is doing? Okay? He says, you're wasting your time. Oh, no, let me back up. Try doing something positive in life.
We are.
What do you think those coffin lids, that's a positive thing because it's showing people that when you leave Watchtower, you're not alone on this journey in escaping a destructive cult. You're not alone. There is a support group. We are building a support group in this XJW community that's positive. And last night's podcast showed that because you had absolutely atheists and Christians coming together, agnostics, and we are showing Watchtower that we can come together for a common purpose, and it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. We're going to build something positive no matter how ridiculous, John James, you try to make all this look. So we are doing something positive. So leave your idiotic comments off of our channel because they don't help anybody. I mean, honestly, can you imagine this John James being at some huge ceremony that involved the bombing of Pearl Harbor or the coming down of the Twin Towers? Can you imagine this John James going into this whole ceremony when they're ringing the bell for those that lost their lives with this big sign that says, hey, so what if the Twin Towers came down? So what if 3,000 plus people lost their lives? Idiots. Just move on, idiots. See, this is how ridiculous you now sound. So keep it up, John James, and I'll show again how ridiculous you are.
Actually, we have more important things to do right now.
Quit wasting our time.
Yeah. We have an update. We want to thank someone who contacted us. The congregation that we had mentioned that, we kind of speculated if there was something going on. And I know we kind of joked, that maybe all the elders got removed and stuff. But we have someone in that area and was able to give us an update on that congregation. And nothing so dramatic or spectacular or anything like that. Nothing wrong in that congregation. They're just in a very rural area and there's no industry. So it sounds like a very small, poor congregation. And I'll remind everybody, it was the one that had the one elder and one pioneer. And Josh didn't have his Bible study because his JW conductor was going to help this congregation out. And the one pioneer that is in that congregation is a woman, and she actually handles the literature counter, accounts, and etc. All the jobs typically assigned to an MS, a ministerial servant.
So that means then they have no ministerial servants.
That must mean they have no ministerial servants, just her and the one elder. And, sweetie, you didn't disappoint us.
No.
We're glad to hear that there's nothing major going on in that congregation. But it sounds like it's elderly and they're all dying off. And not a lot coming in, so...
Right, but at the same time, there's a question that I like to ask. Why did you build a Kingdom Hall in the first place in such a rural area? Unless you had it in mind to later flip the property when everybody left. Because... the Jehovah's Witnesses in that area donated their money to build a Kingdom Hall. So obviously you had a witness base there at the time.
Yeah, well, going on, she says, all working age people move away, leaving just the elderly.
Yep.
And of course, they're dying off, so.
But in the meantime, Watchtower still got a group of Jehovah's Witnesses to pony up the money to build the Kingdom Hall, abandon it when time gets tough, and yet that Kingdom Hall is not sold and given back to the rank and file that donated money. No, the money goes directly to Watchtower now. So really, for Watchtower, it is a win-win situation, isn't it? Because they didn't pony up any money to build the building, to buy the property, build the building, and Watchtower is not having to give any of that money back when they sell it.
Okay, got another tidbit here. Now, when we first came out, we were on Jehovah'sWitness.com, the forum, and we have a very good friend, Don't Call Me Shirley, who had gone down south for Katrina, if I remember right, and helped them out. And he told his story on that forum, along with several others, of how these crews that they were on, the brother in charge would go to the witness homeowner and say, well, we've done all this work for free. Now, this is what a worldly company would have charged you if you would have hired them. And they give them like this astronomical figure, like $12,000 or $15,000 or something like that. So when you get your insurance money, we hope you think of the Watchtower Bible Tract Society and will give a donation. Now, some on that forum will say, oh, that's just, BS. They wouldn't do that. But, our friend, Don't Call Me Shirley, saw this firsthand and heard it firsthand. He wasn't the one in charge, but he was standing nearby to hear this. So I just wanted to say that we have proof that this very well could have happened because... Oh yeah, we got our trusty bond volumes here. This is the 2003 Watchtower. And I was actually looking for something else and came across this. So, Don't Call Me Shirley. Here's your proof. June 1st, 2003 Watchtower, page 6. Second column, the last two sentences on the bottom. Willing volunteers from neighboring congregations performed all the work. Now we know that some traveled from all over the United States to perform this work too.
Yeah.
One witness was so appreciative of the help that when she received payment from her insurance company to cover the repairs to her house, she immediately donated the money to the relief fund so that it could help others in need.
Immediately action is needed here.
Wow.
So they've got it in print.
Yeah.
Because something like this plants the bug in the psyche of the Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, this organization doesn't miss a lick when it comes to fleecing the flock for money.
Yeah, exactly. So
now, before we actually read this one, I kind of wanted to read a scripture regarding
okay, will
this.
you look for your scripture? Now, for those
I
of you,
actually have it handy.
we'll get your glasses. For those of you who weren't able to watch the podcast, and it may be a while before you can watch the entire thing, we want to bring out something that we mentioned last night and expound on it a little bit.
Yes.
Or expand.
Expand.
Either one.
James chapter 2 and verse 13 in particular. For the one that does not practice mercy, the key word practice, mercy, will have his judgment without mercy. Mercy exalts triumphantly over judgment. Now the next verse is a verse that Watchtower uses all the time to get the Jehovah's Witnesses motivated to go into the door-to-door work. In the script, in its verse 14, of what benefit is it, my brothers, if a certain one says he has faith but does not have works? That faith cannot save him, can it? So Watchtower uses this scripture to say, see, if you have faith, the door-to-door works prove your faith. So they manipulate the scripture. But putting everything in context, what is the basis of faith and works? It's mercy and judgment. That's exactly what these scriptures are talking about. Now, did Watchtower ever believe this sort of thing? Do we ever find it in writing to where Watchtower is really showing something towards mercy? I hope I segued that good enough. Because when we all look at the current district convention this year, they're dramatizing, burning into everybody's psyche this young girl who gets disfellowshipped, and
Shunned.
you can see that she's shunned, and even one person in the audience is sneering at her like, oh, you disgusting little tramp, or whatever it is. The body of elders, allegedly, we all know that this is a lie at this point because too many are being secretly recorded. We all know that the body of elders try to convince the Jehovah's Witness that the one being disfellowshipped is an act of mercy because it's Jehovah. It's his judgment. This is Jehovah's discipline because, see, God disciplines those whom he loves. So Watchtower in today's day and age has twisted this whole mercy thing as something from Jehovah God. But there's something even very more deeply involved that's actually twisted and has become twisted.
Yeah.
Because this is what they wrote a while back.
Well, I just want to mention that this is how this came about. A friend of ours on Facebook, Tracy, thank you, Tracy, she was asking everybody for an article because she knows that Watchtower did an article about don't give your spouse the silent treatment, and how bad this is. So she was asking everybody for these articles, and all this stuff started coming in. Well, I was trying to help her out, searching, and the one I came across was in the 1974 Awake bond volume, May 22nd, page 27. Should you retaliate? Now they give a description of what retaliation is, so I'm going to read this. And it's under one of those what is the Bible's view sections. I'll get you for that. Does that threat sound familiar to you? Throughout human history, it has been common for people to return evil for evil or to retaliate. This attitude is especially widespread today.
Now notice what they say. It's an attitude. When you go back and look at that district convention of that brother that sneers at the woman who just got her name announced as being DF'd, that's an attitude, isn't it, Watchtower? Do you see what you're burning into the psyche?
So they're going to do a list here of what retaliation is. Retaliation takes many forms. Youngsters often hit back at other youths who may annoy them. Angry motorists retaliate against other motorists or pedestrians by honking horns or by trying to obstruct other drivers in some way. Family members retaliate by shouting at one another or by giving the silent treatment.
Family members retaliate by giving the silent treatment.
So what do they say about this silent treatment and retaliation? So retaliation in word as well as deed is to be avoided.
Word and deed.
Even thinking about returning evil for evil displeases God. A heart fabricating hurtful schemes is listed among the 6 things that Jehovah does hate. Instead of retaliation, the Bible encourages forgiveness and the showing of love to all, even to one's enemies. So how does this fit in with the shunning?
How does it fit in with discipline from Jehovah? Because as I read early in James chapter 2, for the one that does not practice mercy. In other words, for the one that retaliates for those that are being disciplined by giving them the cold shoulder and or shunning them and or, as the video shows from this year's district convention, kick them out of the house. Mercy, that person will have his judgment without mercy, because mercy is supposed to exalt triumphantly over judgment. And Watchtower does not put this into practice. But yet they trick the mind of the Jehovah's Witness to deviate from the true message of the Bible and to say, well, you want to shun your family members, you want to do this because this is discipline from Jehovah.
Have nothing to do with
them.
them.
Do you see how they have actually twisted the Bible and have manipulated it to suit their own agenda? Especially in today's day and age, when we have coffin lids up here with pins showing that these are not people that are disfellowshipped for immorality. These are people that have been disfellowshipped and or walked away because they've woken up to the truth about who and what Watchtower really is.
Yep. Oh, we got a good one now. I apologize. Someone sent this to me and I forgot to write down who it was. So you know who you are. Thank you very much for sending this to me. It was like, oh my God, one of those aha moments. Now, I particularly like the Layman's Parallel Bible because it has 4 translations in one. But I'm going to read from the Living Bible. It is can't talk this morning. 2 Corinthians.
Slow down, babe. Or would you like some more coffee?
20. 2 Corinthians 5:20. Shut up. We are Christ's ambassadors. God is using us to speak to you. We beg you, as though Christ himself were here pleading with you, receive the love he offers you, be reconciled to God. Okay, now in the Rusty Shank, or Shiv, basically says the same thing. We're ambassadors. Okay, this was really disturbing, and Jehovah's Witnesses, do you have any idea what this means? This is from your new silver shank. 2 Corinthians 5:20. Therefore, we are ambassadors substituting for Christ, as though God were making an appeal through us. All this does is validate the governing body and how they are substituting for Christ. We've looked through many of our translations, and you all know we have a lot of them.
Yep.
And this is the only one
translation
substituting for Christ
that has the word substituting thrown in.
My God, even the Roman Catholic Pope says that he's an ambassador or vicar of Christ. He doesn't say he's substituting for Christ.
Yeah. How dare these men cross that line? But really, again, their own version of the Holy Scriptures is tampered and tainted to give them this seemingly power that they so divinely desire.
So why don't you show them your early Father's Day gift that I got you?
Another Bible.
This is the Living English translation published by the Watchtower Bible Tract Society in 1972.
Published by the Watchtower Bible Tract Society.
Yep.
Now, we already did a video on this.
Page 7, the preface.
But we have to kind of do it again because I was reading something in the back and it's like, oh my God, what a huge contradiction. Talk about putting words in someone's mouth.
Well, we've covered a lot of, Watchtower misquote scholars and stuff. But in the same book?
In the same book, yeah, in the same book. Oh, by the way, thank you for the Father's Day gift. I know it's a little early, but hey, we just do things differently around this household. Okay,
page
7. Now, again, as we showed in the other video, you will not find this page on jw.org when you go through their list of Bibles and start downloading and reading. Because this Bible is on jw.org.
But not the preface. Now, this is what the preface, again, just to reiterate what the preface says. Now, keep in mind, this is a Bible that is translated by Stephen T. Byington. This is a Byington, Living English.
Yeah, Byington version. Page 7, second to last paragraph. As the Old Testament, as to the Old Testament name of God, certainly the spelling and pronunciation Jehovah were originally a blunder. But the spelling and the pronunciation are not highly important. What is highly important is to keep it clear that this is a personal name. There are several texts that cannot be properly understood if we translate his name by the common noun like Lord, or much worse, by the substantialized, if I pronounce it right, adjective. So, the Watchtower in the front of this, or Byington, Stephen Byington, is acknowledging that having the name Jehovah put into the King James Version and or other versions is a blunder. It's a blunder.
But it's not really, the spelling and pronunciation isn't really important. So in the back, the publishers have a note about the translator. Priceless, I'm telling you.
Oh my. The translator of this version of the Holy Scriptures, Stephen T. Byington, was born in 1868. When less than 13 years of age, maybe I need some coffee too, huh?
Yeah.
He made it his goal to translate the Bible into modern English. To this end, Stephen Byington directed his edition to fit him for the work of Bible translation.
Then it goes into his education.
Goes into the education, but now down here, it's interesting because keep in mind, this is Watchtower writing this, I guess, autobiography. Now, this is where it gets really interesting because remember in the beginning, Watchtower put this in their translation, or that they left into this preface that the name Jehovah was a blunder. Okay, he also appreciated the importance of incorporating the divine name Jehovah in his work. Whoa, wait a minute. Steve Byington over here says using the name Jehovah was a blunder. And yet you come back here and contradict Byington himself by saying he also appreciated the importance of incorporating the divine name Jehovah in his work. Especially since its omission from other translation definitely obscured certain text. regarding his use of the name Jehovah, he said, now wait a minute, in the preface, Byington said using the name Jehovah was a blunder. Now Watchtower is quoting Byington? Wait a minute. In the beginning, Byington was quoted as using the name Jehovah as a blunder. And now you have another quotation from Byington that says, I see that the Hebrew in using a personal name and the ruling principle of my translation is to make the English say just what the Hebrew said, in just the way in which the Hebrew said it, as exactly as English can be made to do it. Watchtower. The billion-dollar question is where's your reference work for that quotation? Do I hear crickets? Because if in the beginning Byington says that it was a blunder.
Well, why don't they print that or have that in the jw.org edition?
Yeah, he also appreciated the importance of incorporating the divine name Jehovah in his work. And then they come up with some obscure quotation that has absolutely zero reference backing it up behind it. So again, Watchtower,
misquoting in the exact same book.
No, yeah, well, not only that, this whole thing becomes a blunder for Watchtower because Watchtower does not list the reference. So as far as anybody's concerned, Watchtower, you made up these words. You put quotations around it to make it seem like Byington was quoted as saying this, when the very fact remains that when you got your hands on this Bible, your editing department was too stupid to realize what was about to happen. And it happened, didn't it? That's why on jw.org you had to get rid of the preface from Byington saying using the name Jehovah is a blunder because it doesn't fit what you've done with the Bible.
Well, what he probably meant, if he made that quote, is he was probably talking about the Tetragrammaton, which is not the name Jehovah.
It's not.
So, you know.
Exactly.
Wow.
Wow, but yet Watchtower again gets caught with their pants down around their knees, and they're totally being embarrassed and being made asses of again because they cannot provide a reference to their quotation of Stephen T. Byington.
Exactly. I just want to mention real quick that I have taken I took the bunker videos and I put them together and put them on our channel so that you can share with your JWs, so there's no apostate comments from us. It's just the videos. And then I also did the shunning talk in its entirety with its video, just the talk without any comments. Yep. Because I had several requests from friends saying, I'd like to share this with my JW family. And so have at it, grab anything you want from this, and I may be doing more. I just haven't had time to go through the entire convention yet because we've
been busy.
Yeah, and we were on the podcast. And for those of you who would like to see the podcast, it is uploaded already. It was the Vast Apostate Hour, and it's podcast number 13. Lucky number 13.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun and had some surprise guests joining us. And Jack and Kyla Poley, did an update of what had happened with theirs. And, of course, Gilbert Gonzalez, GG for GB.
Always.
Love that guy.
I just don't know how to take that guy, whether to take him seriously or realize that he's really mocking Watchtower like all of us are doing. I'm just kidding, Gilbert. I love you, bro. He says,
I'm serious. And it's like, I'm sorry, Gilbert. I just find you hilarious. Love you, brother.
Very, very hilarious.
So thanks to everybody, for putting on a great show. And thank you, everybody, for joining and taking the time to spend your Saturday with us.
And for making the Vast Apostate Hour, and by extension, the Vast Apostate Army, something that's going to be successful.
Yes. Exactly.
Yep. So thank you.
So you all have a great Sunday and take care.
Bye.
Bye.